to the Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler.
Welcome to the Lock Shop. Lock Shoppers out there. A little hard start to the show for you here. Matt Owanick in for Dusty, who's going to join us a little bit later and Huss with us here. Don't worry, Trev. We've all made those mistakes before.
Press the wrong button.
Yeah, Trev was good. Hey, Mike's live and usually just fade out the music, but he accidentally hit the music, so it just died right there. So yeah, a little bit of a hard start to the show for you there. Matt Owanick, as I said, in for Dustin Nielson. Thanks everyone for listening to us live across the Edmonton Sports Talk audio streams, edmontonsportstalk.com, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Apple Music, as well as those watching YouTube or anyone listening to this on podcast, wherever you're a podcast. We really appreciate it. This is the Lock Shop presented by Play Alberta. Reminder, new improved odds for all major leagues, North American leagues, including the NFL. Play Alberta, playalberta.ca, the two promo codes for the month of September, YEG 50 as well as EST Sports. Both of those deposit 50, get a free $50 sports bet. I think Bronco Nick yesterday, I saw him tweet at Dusty. I think Dusty's play yesterday, there was a Jays one, I believe it was. I think Gausman strikeouts plus Jays winning, something along those lines. He put his free 50 on that, and that one cashed. So he walking away with a little bit of cash from Play Alberta. In the nasty chat right now, hashtag justice for the Lock Shop for both Kelvin as well as supersized Indiana Jones. Look, I'm part of the Lock Shop too. I am part of the Lock Shop too. I know it's Dusty and Huss's thing, but I do have a fair amount of time throughout the summers that I do spend on the Lock Shop and until CFL season ends. Look, the votes just weren't there. The votes weren't there. And what this means is between Huss and Dusty and myself, we just got to be a little bit better next year. If we want the Lock Shop to be presented, as a top show at the Estes next year, maybe it's just on us throughout the year to make sure we do it just a little bit more to stay top of mind so that when the ballots do get released for the Estes, top of mind, people say Lock Shop, Lock Shop, Lock Shop, and go put the mark next to the Lock Shop to go in there. It's the people have spoken. I'm not going to be one to dismiss the voters of the Estes. That Lock Shop wasn't one of the finalists for Top Show of the Year. This is a great program. This is a wonderful program. Enough people just need to understand how good of a program this is. And over the next year, we just need to do a better job of pushing the Lock Shop to front of mind for when the voting comes. That's all I'm going to say on that one. Let's bring him in, Huss, right now. Huss, how are we doing today?
Starting off Friday with a very disingenuous take, Matthew Owanick. Listen, we know where things stand for this year. I just know I see Duck Dad, supersized Indiana Jones. You, Chaz, I want you leading a protest on the red carpet outside of the Estes at the beginning. Listen, we don't want to cause any disturbance during the progressions, but let's represent the Lock Shop protest outside of the EST event when everyone is arriving.
I'm just, or those people could channel that and over the next year be the campaigners, the lobbyists, if you will, of getting to all the.
It starts at the Estes. It's a year-long campaign.
I'm just gonna, if you start with a protest outside at the red carpet at the Estes, you might turn some voters off. You might turn some of them away. People don't want to be around those protesters. I'm just saying, I think as of next Wednesday, you just start the campaign. Every show, start talking about, remember, next year, vote Lock Shop, best show.
Respect people's right to protest, Matthew. Fair exchange of ideas.
They have every right to go do that. It might hurt you in the long run and hurt this program in the long run if you start with some sort of protest.
I don't believe that would be the case. But as they say, we'll see whether the Lock Shoppers step up with their picket signs, loud chanting, directed at many people.
You want to know something? So the doors are at 6. It's a pretty busy road that our theater that we're going to be at is gonna be by. Last year I found it like people going like, oh, hey, well, like driving by, just wondering like why a bunch of people are dressed up going into this venue. I really wonder what would go through people's minds if they see all these well-dressed people going into a theater, but also a bunch of well-dressed people with picket signs chanting about the Lock Shop. It just that picture in my mind I kind of want it.
Yes, I'm telling you, it would be hilarious. It would be a great content opportunity for EST. And I hope to be out there next year when we make it happen. So
We should try to plan that. Yeah. Maybe
Definitely.
we'll have to see. Maybe the NHL schedule could grace us with like an early Winnipeg Jets game in the season.
That would be so good.
And we could plan it for like that day before or something.
Yes, indeed. Well, anyways, that should be fun. And I am going to be, when the SDs are happening, like if I am needed to, if this is all just a joke and we actually are going to pull it off, and this is just, you're pulling the wool over my eyes, I would have to be doing a zoom in probably from right behind the plate at Kauffman Stadium on Tuesday night, because I'm staying a couple extra days after the football game, going to Royals Mariners on Tuesday.
Fun.
Before coming back. And then, of course, we get right into it with training camp shows beginning on Thursday for WST, and obviously jumping in with you guys as well. But I'm just looking forward to getting through this weekend, the next few days, because you know what it's like in this line of biz. The minute the hockey season starts, things change significantly. But Matt, for my money, this is the most fun time of the year. I think last weekend, from a sports perspective, might be my favorite of the year. You get NFL kickoff. We're now getting a Friday primetime game. Chiefs were obviously in it. CFL Saturday before the first NFL Sunday. Triple header. Banjo Bowl here in Winnipeg. And then the first Sunday. It was great. Looking at the NFL slate this week, we don't have as many maybe of the juicy matchups we had in week one, but still a lot of intrigue. And listen, I'm interested in your thoughts on the Thursday nighter last night. I still think Washington is a solid team and they'll be fine, but this Green Bay squad looks like the real deal. And I was worried, from a Packer perspective, I knew they'd be able to get to the quarterback, but I was interested, when they traded Kenny Clark in that deal, I was wondering whether they'd be more vulnerable to teams being able to run on them. And the Detroit Lions had absolutely nothing for them last week in that category. And then 5 days later, they completely stuffed the Washington Commanders last night. So this Green Bay team has really, really shown something early on. And they're right there at the top of the NFC when it comes to Super Bowl favorites right now.
Yeah, they sent the shot towards the Eagles over the last 2 weeks going, we're coming for you. I won't declare them, and I can't declare them best team in NFC until I see otherwise from the Eagles. The Eagles are the defending champs for a reason. They are the favorite coming into the season for the NFC for a reason. Jay on the Hango brought up a great point with the Packers defense, especially they're rotating in that defensive line. And that includes Parsons. They're taking him out and they're rotating guys in and having those fresh legs and being able to still dominate even at times when Parsons is off the field. It's incredible. I just looking at the Packers schedule leading up to November 10th, Monday night, when they take on the Eagles in Green Bay. They should be an undefeated football team when they host the Philadelphia Eagles. They're in Cleveland. Yeah. They go to Dallas, which, that's the one game. Who knows how this is going to be in Dallas? Micah Parsons, the trade, we'll see. They get a bye week. It's Cincinnati. It's Arizona. It's Pittsburgh. It's Carolina. They have a really good chance of taking on the Philadelphia Eagles without a loss going into that one. Eagles, I'll have to look at their schedule here quickly. I know that they got the Chiefs Sunday. Rams, Bucks, Broncos, Giants, Minnesota, Giants by Green Bay. So there's the Denver game could be a little challenging. KC, obviously, this weekend. Not so sure about the Eagles maybe going into that one undefeated. But no, I think what we saw yesterday was, the Green Bay Packers really sending a statement to it starts with your conference, but to the Eagles that we're coming for you. We're knocking on the door and we will see you in November, but we're going to see you in the playoffs. And this is going to be our conference. There's not a lot of weaknesses on our team. They lost a couple players in that game, including Reed, and were able to continue rolling without those injuries. Next man up for the Packers too in that one. They're looking really good, and Jordan Love's looking like a solid quarterback. He has since he started, but it seems like he's improving as a quarterback as well. And also, they look good. They're just uniform wise. I like the all-white look from the Packers
The
yesterday.
white, yeah, it was a little weird at the start, but I got used to them. Those new helmets overall look really cool, like with the the lines and stuff. And then you got guys like Dobbs. I mean, listen, I support guys wearing the extra thing on top, but Romeo Dobbs in particular looks like, one of the kids that has gets the massive hat, like the big head hat. That's what they look like. I was lamenting earlier today, talking to the fellas about maybe being 1 year early on the Jordan Love MVP bets. I was all in on Jordan Love last year, and he obviously got hurt early in the season and wasn't there. If the Packers keep rolling the way they are, and he keeps playing at the level that he is definitely going to be in the mix for the MVP. I mean, I'm seeing 9s right now. Josh Allen obviously is the favorite after what happened on Sunday. But Jordan Love, I think, is going to be in the mix. And here's something, just on Love. Part of the reason why I kind of got on this last year was that I thought the Packers would be right there in the mix with the top teams in the NFC. We know how the voting works. Like, they're kind of always looking to give it to the next guy, the new guy. Now, Joe Burrow would be that guy if the Bengals have a really, really solid season. But there is a very good chance, as you just mentioned, going through that schedule, that the Packers could have a really, really good record, could potentially be the 1 seed in the NFC. And if that happens, I think Jordan Love is going to get a ton of consideration for the MVP. So even right now at 2-0, if you can get a 9-1, I don't think that that's a bad number considering what this team's capable of and just how good the team looks overall. And the quarterback will benefit from that a lot.
Well, to your point, like last year, Lamar Jackson, you can argue, had better numbers. Statistically, was better than Josh Allen. He won the Pro Football Writers, I think, vote for most outstanding player, most MVP. But it goes to Josh Allen. Josh Allen is in a difficult spot in one regard because he is the defending. And I'm just looking over the last period of time. Aaron Rodgers repeated from 2020 to 2021. Before that, it was Manning in 08 to 09. Like it is hard, and you're right. Like, not saying it's right. Not saying Josh Allen shouldn't deserve to go win the MVP this season, but he's going to have to do a little more than what he would normally have to do, because voters often will do the, it's the next person's turn. Yeah. It's the next person's turn.
Same with Lamar.
Absolutely.
Like Lamar, he's won a couple, and they're still waiting for him to do big things in the playoffs, and that fairly or probably more unfairly will be held against him for it. So the value that you can get, the value you get on a Jordan Love right now makes a lot of sense because of that. Like, yeah, it makes sense also that Josh Allen be the favorite, but in the end, if this Packers team is the top of the NFC, if this Packers team keeps rolling the way they're rolling, and they're a 2-loss, 3-loss team, as when all is said and done, I think you're right. There's a really good chance that the love of Jordan Love, no pun intended there, is going to be higher, and it's going to be, well, Allen had it last year. So it's the next person's turn, and so that is a nice little play on Play Alberta plus 835. You're here seeing 9-1 and all that. So it's you're right on that one. I think here's my point. I think if we see the Packers take care of business on this schedule for the next, especially, if they beat the Bengals, like he goes head to head and beat the Joe Burrow, if they get to say 5-0, which I think that they will be, we're going to be talking about probably a number that's more around 5-1. Like, he'll be right there with the favorites. Like, if Josh Allen right now is in around 3.5 to 1, Jordan Love, I think, with those wins will be right there. So as I say, if you believe in the Packers right now, and you're looking at an MVP, I think the sooner that you can get a piece of Jordan Love, the better, because I think that number is going to go down significantly in the next few weeks.
Looking at their schedule, it's pretty it's not a hard schedule for the Packers this year. And that's the benefit of them. They finished third in the division last year. So they get the third place teams of all their relatively divisions and all of that. Like, this is a team that might only have 3 losses this season. And if that's the case, the Jordan Love MVP talk is going to be very, very high, I would have to say. What did you make of Commanders from what you saw from them yesterday?
Well, they were completely shut down by the Packer defense. I mean, we didn't see a lot. I mean, the second half, Ertz got going a little bit more, but they couldn't run the ball at all. I mean, I had a nice little 3 combo. We had a Jordan Love rushing yards over 5.5. That cashed on his, like, in the first series. We had the under 49.5. That was never really in danger. And then needed 21 rushing yards for Austin Eckler. And much like last week, he got the carries. They just couldn't get past the line of scrimmage. Like, listen, the rush defense of the Packers was so impressive. And then the other thing was they really, until it was sort of garbage time and the Packers could just make sure there weren't big plays, the passing game wasn't going. I mean, they found ways to get it to Deebo Samuel. Terry McLaurin had like 1 catch until the fourth quarter. Noah Brown saw a bunch of balls, didn't catch them all. And then Zach Ertz didn't start cooking until it was too late. So to me, the Packers showed that they're in a tier above Washington right now. And listen, Jaden Daniels is going to be fine. Like, they'll find ways to win games and they'll be competitive. But they got a long way to go to compete with the top tier of the NFC. And I think that is where the Green Bay Packers currently reside. Hey, is Dusty's going to pop on a little later on?
I think his plan is like closer to the end of the show. He's going to pop on.
Okay.
So we'll get through some more picks then.
Yeah, well, we'll probably dive into just full NFL picks for the second half of the show. Any thoughts on the CFL? We haven't spoken this week. Interested as to where your head is at for these games. And by the way, I'm sure you guys have talked about this earlier today. Really, really sad news in the Canadian Football League in the passing of Ted Gavaya. Yep. And for it to happen, leading into tonight, which of course was the planned on being, and I guess still will be, the Team Ted game with the Ticats and the Bombers playing against each other. Longtime assistant GM here took over the Ticats.
Home team.
It's such a great job. Certainly picking a few big time players out of Winnipeg to get to Hamilton, but building a team that's first place. And, this was supposed to be a night where people really rallied supporting Ted and, of course, raising money for cancer charities. And just horrible news today, Maddie, that this game will sort of be played with, I'm sure everyone in attendance with heavy hearts that Ted has lost his battle.
Yeah, it's one of those, how it works. It's the right 2 teams playing for tonight. Obviously Hamilton, it's the team that he's the general manager, but you mentioned it, longtime assistant with Winnipeg, that if there is going to be a night to remember Ted, I don't think you could schedule 2 better opponents for this one. Just finally gets that GM gig, back in December. And unfortunately, as the season's about to start, the news comes out that he has cancer and unfortunately passes away today. Both teams are going to absolutely be playing with heavy hearts in this one. And it's just again, it's just such a sad story too, in the sense it's always going to be sad, but it's his hometown team. He went basically home to become that general manager for that first time. From moving aside from that and looking at the football, I'm seeing 7.5 for the Ticats with no Zach Collaros. This number kind of there's a lot of big lines tonight or this weekend that we're looking at. I'm just not sold on Chris Streveler. I'm not sold on what I've seen from the Bombers for the most part when Zach Collaros isn't there. And now you add on top of, the Tie. I know both teams will play for Ted, but the Ticats a little more so, I think.
Oh yeah,
going for him. It's 7.5 is a lot. But I probably would take the Ticats in this one.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm going to put together a 3-gamer for the weekend, and I'm staying away from this one.
Yeah.
I will say, if you want to be optimistic Bomber fan, Streveler is 2-0 when he started this year. He had a great game in week 1 against BC. Yeah. Was fortunate to get the second start. That was that wild game against Toronto where they returned to 2 touchdowns on punter kick returns and then had a defensive touchdown. He has not looked great when he's come in relief. They got shut out in the second half against Hamilton. I'll tell you that I think Brady Oliveira is going to see a lot of the football today. Just looking at what's the rushing yard number for Brady? 73.5. And by the way, Greg Bell, who had 150 yards last week, I'm seeing at 54.5. That might be something to consider. They were cooking with that run game last week. But I think we'll see a lot of Brady and a lot of the rushing game. Listen, it's a big number for Hamilton to cover. We're just going to have to see what the Bombers can do. And do they have much of a passing attack? And can the defense keep Bo Levi Mitchell and Kenny Lawler in check, which I think is going to be tougher to do. But I do like a couple of the big numbers, like this late game tonight, BC and Ottawa. I realized that Ottawa beat them last week in that insane comeback. To me, it feels like Ottawa is in the spot that the Cleveland Browns are in this week, going on the road to play a team that's much better than them, that is right pissed off that they threw up all over themselves last week. I think BC makes a statement in this game. And listen, I know their defense sucks, but I think Nathan Rourke is going to go crazy tonight. If you've got a CFL DraftKings lineups or something like that, play Nathan Rourke. That's what I'll tell you.
Yeah, I'm going up against him in my fantasy.
I think they win it. I think they win by double digits.
See,
I love the Elks at +3.5. Oh, sorry.
I'm opposite on that one because I believe BC's going, and this line opened at like -12. I immediately jumped on Ottawa at that point. There's just I'm not thinking that the Red Blacks are going to go get a victory, but this is something similar to my feeling from last week. I have seen enough from Ottawa this year that they will be down going into the fourth quarter, but they put up points in the fourth, and they pick up garbage. They pick up garbage points to make it closer. And I know everything you're saying, and we'll get to my thoughts about the Browns and the Ravens later, which is opposite of you as well, again, a little bit maybe. I could just see the Red Blacks with Dustin Crum, being down, 17 points going to the fourth quarter, but finding the way to make it a 7-point ball game when all is said and done. That's I would have to go back and look at the research and look at all the lines for the Red Blacks this year. I have a feeling they're pretty good against the spread because it just seems like they are a fourth quarter team that makes it close. They don't go win those football games, but they make it close.
BC's not against them. I mean, BC, for all of what they can do offensively, they've been terrible defensively. I just don't know whether Dustin Crum can pull a second rabbit out of his hat this week. And as I say, like with what happened last week, Buck Pierce has to have his team with absolutely no mercy offensively and keep that foot on the gas. And I sort of do it. I do like the Elks, by the way. I like, as far as all the dogs, if you're taking points, the game that I love the most is Edmonton. I could see Edmonton winning this football game. I think it'll be close. Like the fact that we're getting 3 and the extra half point, I think is key. I think this will be the most exciting game of the week. It should be the closest game of the week. Yeah. And I'm on Edmonton. And then, I don't care that MBT is starting. My only worry about Saskatchewan not covering this game is that there's the natural, somewhat of an emotional letdown, possibly going up against a team in Montreal with a backup quarterback coming off the 2 emotional rivalry wins against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. But listen, from what we've seen from Saskatchewan, they're playing they're at a different level than Montreal right now is. So I don't mind Saskatchewan. I think Saskatchewan and BC both have convincing wins, and hopefully Edmonton can get a cover and put that together. But Friday is a day for NFL picks. Hey, you just mentioned this Baltimore-Cleveland game. I would love to. We don't need to get your thoughts on what happened on Sunday unless you would like to offer them. As there's been enough time to get away. And as a Ravens fan, you've seen this before.
Yes. That's why I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah. Did you?
I was texting a buddy that's a Ravens fan, and I was just like, they're going to blow this. They're going to blow this. Like, knew it. And wanted them so bad to go for it on that fourth down because it was one of those, you get the first down, game over, you've won. If you don't, at the very least, the Bills, if they're going to go score points, because there's less field, there's less chance for them to kill the clock, you're going to get the ball back. And what we've seen all game, is the Ravens were able to move the ball offensively. That I wanted Lamar to get another chance to get that football if they couldn't go convert the fourth down. Didn't like the second down play that the Ravens had when they got the ball back at that initial time. Texted when it happened, the missed extra point. I'm like, this is going to hurt us. It was going to be a 16-point game. Instead, it was 15. But as a Ravens fan, I've seen it way too many times. You have a big lead going on the fourth quarter, and you can't be excited about it. You know, in the NFL, you should be ready to, no sweat a fourth quarter when you're up double digits. But with the Ravens, you can't. It's just not possible. And you have not heard this, but I have predicted an 0-4 start for the Baltimore Ravens season, including with there's the face I was expecting. What? I predict this at the start of the season. They go get Lions. They get the Chiefs after that. Not confident of those. And look, there are those games where they dominate in the recent history. But if you go back the last 7 years or whatever, the Ravens split the Browns. The Browns find a way to beat the Ravens. The Browns, at the very least, also more often than not, last game at the end of last season, the regular season, the Ravens demolished the Browns. But the Browns also have a very good way of keeping it close. And this, on the spread at the very least, what's the latest that this game is that I'm seeing?
11.5.
Yeah, it's been around there. Ravens, I've got 11.5. Yeah. Browns are covering 11.5, I feel like. But I could go through. I have done this, Huss, over a number of shows, but I will go through the Ravens' schedule against the Browns over the last few years. It's more often than not a split, and it varies when it's going to happen. And I've seen the comebacks before against the Baltimore Ravens, I've also seen the losses against the Browns. Last year, as I said, last game of the season, 35-10 win, but they met after the Ravens went 5-2. They won 5 straight. They lose 29-24 to the Browns. 2023, the Ravens win their first meeting 28-3, so a dominating win, but then lose 33-31 in Baltimore. 2022, the Ravens, they beat the Browns 23-20, 3-point ball game, very close. They then lose to the Browns 13-3 in 2021. This will be the last one, then I'll stop going back because I could keep doing this all day. They beat the Browns 16-10. And then they lose to the Browns 2 weeks later after a loss to the Steelers, 24-22.
Maybe I'll take Cleveland plus 11.5. I still think the Ravens are winning this game. I have picked them in Survivor. It is the biggest spread of the week. But I tell you what, I am here for a little Joe Flacco magic.
This is probably his last game ever in Baltimore against his former club. There's a little of that story. The two things that the Ravens have that I'll go to outside of, they have a really good offense. We know that. And defensively, they are supposed to be really good. As you pointed out, the revenge, seeing it didn't matter who's coming up next, wanting to just destroy whoever's next for that victory. Timing. Also, I don't know if you've seen some of the comments that some of the Browns players have made, but Judy has said that defense isn't that good, basically. And one of their defenders was asked how hard is it to tackle Derrick Henry, and he's like, it's not hard. So they've put a couple bulletin board things that the Ravens could look at going into this game. But I'm not moving off of what I said to start this year. I want to be wrong. I so hope I'm wrong. I hope that they're 2-2 through 4. I hope they're 3-3 at the very least through 6. It's a tough schedule to start the season, but I predicted an 0-4 start to the season. Unfortunately, I was right through first week. I'm just gonna, from a betting perspective, I would take the Browns to cover 11.5.
Hey, listen, just before we get to some picks, Duck Dad in the chat. September 12, 2025, 11:25 MST. Huss finally respects the Elks in the 2025 season. That is not fair, Duck Dad. I have picked the Elks. I think I've probably picked them for the last 5 weeks against the spread. I've been with them since they moved to Cody. I've been a believer that the Elks are, they were better than their record, and now they're right in it. So, I'm riding with the Elks. I don't know whether they win this game, but as I say, I'm taking them plus 3.5. I think this is going to be tight. And just for the scenarios in the West, as well as the potential crossover, I would love to see the Elks win this game and BC win this game. I mean, great if Winnipeg could get a win, but you could have a 3-way tie for third place in the West with those three teams, and then 5 games to determine 1 or 2 playoff spots moving forward. But it'll be good. But
there's a scenario.
I disagree.
There's a scenario where the Elks could be sitting in a playoff spot at the end of this weekend. They go beat Toronto and Ottawa beats BC. The Edmonton Elks are sitting in a playoff spot. As wild as that is to think right now.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Cody Fajardo has been such a great story. But let's get to some picks.
Yes.
Let's get to some picks for the week in the National Football League. As I say, I certainly wasn't going to bet the Ravens at that big number, but you've almost convinced me. I'll at least get a piece of Cleveland on the spread somewhere else, but I'm not worried about the survivor pick. We're still riding with the Ravens in an overall. Where do I want to start? Well, you know what? I'm going to start with the Pittsburgh Steelers in this game. Listen, it was a tough loss last week because it was 2.5 was the spread. They ended up winning by 2. Crazy game. But man, did Aaron Rodgers look good in that Pittsburgh offense. And did it, against a Jets team that I think we kind of expected maybe would be challenged offensively, but would be a little bit better defensively. It was the lowest total on the board, and it crushed in the first half. Quickly, it's a tough spot for Seattle. Go ahead.
I think we had a guest on yesterday on the Hangout who's a Jets fan, and he said he bet the Steelers 2.5, and he's like, "This is the worst result. My team loses, and they don't even and the Steelers don't cover though, so it was like a double loss for him."
Not even the happiness hedge. I managed to take 2 L's on the same one. Listen, I thought that Darnold was basically, and this was the same thing last year, to be honest with Gino. Seattle goes through an entire half doing not much offensively. It gets to the 2-minute warning. They throw on 4 or 5 consecutive plays to JSN, and then they try and kick a field goal. Mike McDonald didn't have the stones, much like John Harbaugh didn't have the stones to go for it. They ended up kicking a field goal, giving the Niners the ball back. And we know what happened. They went down late in the game, finally got their offense together, scored a touchdown, and won the game. I always think that these early slate games are tough for the West Coast teams.
Yeah.
Flying across the country and then playing at what would be 10 a.m. Their time. The Heinz Field in this home opener is going to be rocking. And it is the DK Metcalf revenge game going up against his old team. If you're liking DK to get into the end zone, usually probably somewhere in between like plus 155 and plus 170, you'll see somewhere on a DK Metcalf touchdown. That was pointed out to me, but I do like Pittsburgh at -3. I mean, if you want to buy it to 2.5, maybe if you're putting it into a parlay or something like that, I could see it. But just on a single wager, Pittsburgh is at the top of my card. Another game that I quite like this week are the Vikings. And what number are you seeing on the Vikings? And
3.5.
Do they have? Okay, so 3.5. And what's the number on the 3.5? And do they have a 3?
-102 on the 3.5. Let me just quickly see if I can get I want this one here. On 3, it's -119.
Yeah. So listen, I think if you're betting that, I would take the 3 at -119. The half point is huge. And this could absolutely be a game. Part of me thinks that we're going to see a Minnesota Viking offense that kind of looks like it did in the fourth quarter against the Bears. I think the atmosphere in that building is going to be just phenomenal. I joked earlier this week, Maddie, that thank God for JJ McCarthy for the Minnesota sports fan, because if they had lost that game to Chicago on Monday night and the fourth quarter had looked like the first 3 quarters, And that was followed up by Kaprasov turning down an 8-year deal for $16 million. I mean, dark times for Minnesota sports fans. So while the hockey fans are freaking out, the football fans are excited for what Minnesota can do. I think they're a much better team than Atlanta. Like, Atlanta was right there with Tampa last week. But Tampa had a number of opportunities to sort of kind of really run away with that game. They didn't, but then they made it happen at the end. Tampa missed a field goal, missed an extra point, sort of keeping Atlanta in that game. And then Koo missed his opportunity to tie the game and put it up to overtime. So Brian Flores and that Minnesota defense is legit. They'll be ready. They'll be sending tons of pressure at Michael Penix Jr. And I think this Vikings team is just well-rounded. So I'm definitely in on Minnesota for this week. Those are a couple of my favorite ones right off the top. What about you?
Yeah, there's something with kickers this year in the NFL. Like they're having this new, like
Except
yesterday. Pardon?
Except for Boswell, who bangs out 60-yard game winners. Everybody else, we had back-to-back doinks. Like, we always take the over 3.5 field goals on the primetime games. The last 3 games, there's been 3 multiple misses. It's almost incredible that thing's been under 3 in a row. Yeah.
It used to be like over the last few years, it's just been almost guarantees for the most part when a lot of kickers go out there. And we've already seen one kicker lose his job with Moody in San Francisco. And it seems weird that these kickers are having these rough starts. For me, looking at this, the one I look at is I look at the Ravens and I look at the Browns and I see 11.5. And then I go look at the Bills and the Jets and I see -6 for the Bills. And I'm guessing people are looking at the, Bills defense did struggle containing the Baltimore Ravens offense, and they did allow 40 points in a football game. And Justin Fields was able to go score some points against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who had a pretty good defense last year. But I know what I saw out of that Buffalo Bills offense, and I also don't think that they'll get off to such a slow start. That I do like the Bills with -6. Like I think this is a team that is going to go to East Rutherford and beat down the Jets. I don't think the Jets are going to be able to contain Josh Allen and that offense. And I think the Bills defense, Justin Fields and that Jets offense is not Lamar Jackson and the Ravens offense, that they are going to be a better defense that we could come and expect. So I do like the Buffalo Bills to cover 6 against the Jets, even though that is a fair bit of money. I don't know what to make of this game at all. I wonder your thoughts. It's one that I'm likely going to just stay away from. But Dolphins Patriots. Who's who? Like, the Patriots were the favorite going up against the Raiders. Leading into that, they get the loss. The Dolphins look like trash. They are 1.5 favorites at home to the Patriots. I'm fascinated by this game just to see the train wreck possibly of this game.
Yeah, I saw 2 earlier for New England and took it. I think the Raiders are better than maybe a lot of people are expecting. So I'm not going to totally hang. And listen, I watched a little bit of that game, but not a ton. And I didn't think Drake May was particularly, he wasn't as good as he was late in the season last year. And that happens. You got a brand new head coach. But this is a huge, huge game. And I think maybe getting away from New England and going on the road to a team that has far bigger problems than they do is a nice spot for the Patriots. I actually like them to win this game. Like, I'm just so out on Miami. And I watched a lot of that game last week because I was in on Jonathan Taylor props, and I had the Colts. And, they never got a stop in the entire game. The Colts had 7 possessions and scored 7 times. Now, a few of them were field goals, but it was crazy to see the way they guys got run all over and what Danny Dimes was able to do. I think that this team is on the verge of just simply imploding. Mike McDaniel, I haven't seen odds right now on the first coach fired, but I bet that he's probably somewhere around like -200 or -250 or something like that.
Odds Shark, I just quickly found, I just Googled, they have him at -400.
-4. Okay, it's even more. So.
Next coach fired odds. He's -400. Brian Dable's +650. Kevin Stefanski's +700. But yeah, Mike McDowell -400.
Stefanski's not getting fired. That is so yeah. Anyway,
Covers.com has him at -200 as well. So it's a range there. You nailed it to one of those.
But that's sort of, I mean, he's a heavy favorite, put it that way for that. And I think Mike Vrabel gets a lot more out of his team coming up into this game. And I think they'll run a lot. Like if you got a Travion Henderson, actually, what's his rushing prop for the game? Rushing yards, Travion Henderson. So, wow, you know what? I mean, I'm seeing like you can go anywhere. What do you see for Henderson for the rushing prop over at PA?
Let me just open it up fully here. Click that guy. Player markets, rushing yards.
Yeah.
Henderson Henderson, 31.5.
31.5. Is there like, can you take it higher as well? Is there a bit of a ladder on that? Like, I think he can get 50 yards. And if he's getting 50 yards, you can get plus money, I think, in at some spots.
You can go. Yeah, it's staying 30.5, 31.5, 32.5 for same game parlay. Okay. I don't see any other way. Yeah.
I think that's a much lower number. Would love to see that. Like, I'm just going back to see how they distributed the carries in the first game. Looking at New England rushing, like Henderson only had 5 carries. He had 27 yards, a 5.4 yard average. Like Ramondre Stevenson had 7 carries for 15 yards. So as they say, I think you're going to see more and more Travion Henderson. He's also a guy that's going to get a bunch of balls out of the backfield. He had 6 catches last week. But I think the way Miami's built, I think they actually rush more than just keep on dumping it off. So I will take New England on that. I think Dusty's going to jump in a minute.
He'll be here right away.
I'll quickly fire off these other 2 picks. So I'm on Minnesota -3. I am on Pittsburgh -3. I'm going to take the points with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers +2.5. Did not like what I saw from the Houston Texans last week. And they are right now really, really up against it. I mean, the Tank Dell injury, they have not found a way to replace that guy. And Nico Collins right now is seeing so much attention. It's difficult for CJ Stroud to get him there. So give me Tampa +2.5. The other game that I do like, well, you know what? I'm going to take it. I'll make it an official pick. I'm going to take the Chiefs +1. I'm going to be at the game. I got to put my money where my mouth is. Patrick Mahomes, for only the 2nd time in his career as a starter, is an underdog at home. Mahomes' all-time record as an underdog, period, is Hall of Fame worthy on its own. I'm not entirely sure how they get this done because Philly is legit. Their defense is huge. And the Chiefs, I've got to find somebody that can run some routes and catch some passes. But Mahomes was so brilliant last week. I just feel that he will find a way to do it. The Chiefs defense is going to have to be much better. But if you're giving me a point or a plus number on the Kansas City Chiefs at home against anyone, I will take it. So I'll throw in there Chiefs +1, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, and Tampa Bay +2.5. I was tempted on the Jets. There's a lot of people liking the Jets, but now that it's down to 6, I don't know. I have a feeling all those people are going to look dumb, and your Bills pick is going to look really good at the end just because they're just a much better team. But we'll see. But I'm interested to see what Dusty's got.
Yeah, we'll bring Dusty in momentarily. Trev's just setting up the shot. The other one I do like is the Bengals are a slow start team. They have been. And, you know, we saw that last week against the Browns. Now I think we're going to expect a little bit more from Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and all that. And 3.5 at home against the Jags. I do like the Bengals to cover 3.5 against the Jaguars in Cincinnati. Let's bring him in. He is generally the host of the Lock Shop with us. It is Dustin Nielson out in Vancouver. Dusty, how are we doing today?
Is this double haircut day on the Lock Shop?
You both got haircuts?
Well, I did, and on Dusty's looks is looking a little high and tight.
Oh,
We can't
he's
hear
muted.
Dusty, by the way.
I think Dusty's muted.
Is Dusty mute himself, or is he muted?
Trev's saying it's not us. And Dusty looks confused. And then I guess I got to try to learn how to read lips.
Sign language.
Nod your head if you got a haircut at the very least. Yes or no?
No haircut.
Oh,
either.
we got you. We got you.
You're back.
Yeah. All right, sorry, boys. No haircut. I just went like this today. I just sort of swooped it over. I didn't put on a hat.
Nice. Will there be a shave before the game tonight, or will you
It'll be a clean up of the neck?
A rugged look.
Clean up of the neck, but this will stay the same. I'm beard guy now, right, Hus? So I have to own it.
What about strap? Like, can you bring the strap to the national?
Look, man, if TSN ever allows me to broadcast something in March, then yes, you'll see a chin strap on television.
Keep the stigma around. I stand by it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Dusty. We've got a few picks out there when it comes to the NFL. What jumps off to you on the slate of action this weekend?
Well, I might as well just rip this Band-Aid off right now. I'm on the Eagles. I know Hus. I caught the part where Hus being on the Chiefs, but
that.
I'm betting the Chiefs.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I just exactly. I mean, Hus is going to be on the Chiefs, but he also said he's not exactly sure how they get it done, which I think is really helps my Eagles pick. You saw what Philly did last week. You saw what Philly did obviously last time these two teams met. It's -1.5. I mean, they run the ball so well, whether it's Hurts or Barkley. Now, I'd like to selfishly see Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown get a little bit more involved in the offense. Maybe it does. And Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes, but, who's he getting the ball to? Is Hollywood Brown going to go out and beat the Philadelphia Eagles? Maybe Hollywood Brown and Travis Kelce can beat the Eagles. But I don't know. I see Philly at that number, I guess, where the Chiefs are at right now. So I'm going to get on Philly -1.5. And then, I'm going to go homer pick here too. I'm going to take the Detroit Lions. Ben Johnson returns to Detroit. Detroit's got to be pissed off what happened last week. Watching that game last night, I watched the entire game last night. It made me feel a hell of a lot better about the Detroit Lions. Seeing Green Bay's defense do what they did again. I was like, you know what? Detroit might still be a pretty good team, but the Packers defense just is legitimate. So I like Detroit at home, pissed off, still a ton of offensive weapons. The Bears literally did nothing after their first possession of that last ball game. Like, they completely just fell apart. So I like Detroit. It's a bigger number. It's one of the bigger numbers of the week, but I like Detroit -6. I am also on the Bucks, like Hus said, at +2.5. Last year, I think it was last year, CJ Stroud threw for like over 400 yards and 5 touchdowns against the Bucks in a game. And I don't like the Bucks will remember that. I think it's going to be a long day for CJ Stroud. I could see him getting sacked 3, 4, 5 times. So to get the Bucks, who didn't necessarily look great last week, but found a way, I'll take the Bucks +2.5. What I'll probably do is move it to the other side of 3.5 and throw it into a parlay or two. And then this one's interesting because I was against them last week. It backfired huge, but I'm going to go Denver against the Colts, and maybe Danny Dimes gets me again. But they're not scoring on 7 straight possessions. Hell, they're not scoring on 7 possessions in general against the Denver Broncos. Like, it's just, this is a different beast than Miami last week. And the Colts, I guess I got a little bit more respect for them now than I had heading into the season. But
it was the Dolphins.
I think that Denver defense on the road, man, -1. I'll take Denver. So I'm on Denver -1, Philly -1.5, the Bucks +2.5, and Detroit -6. Those would be my 4.
I'm the only non-homer.
Yeah,
but you went Browns plus the number.
I'm saying Browns.
I stared at that.
Money. Give me the.
I stared at it for a long time. But I made a convincing case for the Ravens earlier in the week, and I'm staying away from it, and I'm staying away from that New England Miami game too. Like, I want no piece of it. I don't know what's going on there.
Ravens to win, Cleveland to cover, I think is what's going to happen.
Do you think it's a backdoor cover? Is it like they're down 15 and then they score a touchdown late, or?
No, this is just a tight football game. This is, as a Ravens fan, I've seen way too many of those over the last number of years.
The last thing
it's a huge number. Like
late in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it's a huge. Yeah, you're right, Huss. Still didn't cover. So, yeah, Manny, what's up with your shirt, dude? I got to know what's going on with this thing.
It's just a flowery shirt. It's I'm going golfing today. I don't get to wear this shirt too often. So
makes sense.
I'm going. It's going to be 28 degrees. I don't pull this out. And so
wow, it's warm there. It's cold in Vancouver. It's like 16 right now.
Yeah, no, we're supposed to be beautiful on weekends. Like
where are you
30.
golfing?
Sturgeon.
Oh, have fun, man.
Thank you.
That sounds really nice. Yeah.
So that's all it is.
For the next few days, 35 or 36 every day.
What?
Oh, you'll love that, Huss.
Yeah, I'd rather it be really hot than chilly.
Yeah,
but I could use in the mid to high 20s as opposed to the 30s. But hey, get a little blast this summer. Hey, just on the way out, couple props I do like.
Yeah,
was diving in. James Conner over 14.5 receiving yards. Ended up getting 3 or 4 balls last week and was right in and around that number. Listen, I think that they're going to have their way with Carolina, and he's going to be an outlet for Kyler Murray continued. And the other guy is Travis Etienne. And I'm going to go to the receiving yards. He had the huge rushing total last week. It was a lot out on the count of that 71-yarder. But he has always been a guy that they look to get the ball in the passing game as well. I think with his performance and Tank Bigsby getting traded, I think there's even a bigger spot in the offense for Travis Etienne. And we might start to see Etienne numbers sort of where people thought they were going to be a couple years ago when he was such a high fantasy pick. The receiving number for Etienne is only 15.5. Looking at some fantasy predictions, the number that, a lot of the models are spitting out is in the high 20s. So love Etienne over 15.5, Connor over 14.5 receiving yards. Do you guys want to quickly pick a TD score each?
Yeah. Go ahead, Matty. You start us with a TD score. I got like 7 options here, so let's put together just a little.
Well, I'll go with. Here's where I'll go with the homer pick. I'll go with Zay Flowers.
Oh,
I think it's going to be a good. Ravens are going to put up some points. I'm just worried about.
He was awesome last week too.
Zay Flowers was fantastic last week. I'll go Zay Flowers getting a touchdown.
Okay, Huss, where are you going?
I'll go James Cook.
Okay,
for the Bills in the Jets game.
And I will go. Give me Chase Brown. Had one last week. I think it's going to be a pretty high scoring game in that. And some other touchdown scores I do like as well. CeeDee Lamb in a bounce back. Give him a touchdown this week. I don't hate T. Higgins as well, but I'm on Chase Brown in the same game. I think Gibbs is going to have a touchdown against the Bears. Bijan obviously will be heavily involved. And here's another one. I don't know what the number is. I didn't look it up, but I'm on Calvin Ridley over receptions this week. I think Calvin, he was targeted like 8-9 times. Some big drops last week. I think there's a bounce back coming there for Calvin Ridley. So I get on Calvin Ridley over on the receptions number, probably 4.5 or 5.5, I think. But I like him to probably be double-digit targets and probably catch 6 or 7. So I like Calvin Ridley as well. I was happy I was able to connect. This is great.
Okay, so we got I'll say 20 seconds each for this. Okay, if we both
I love being a guest on the Lock Shop. This is awesome, Huss. This is neat. I like this.
If we do a Lock Shop parlay of picks, you both were Bucks.
Yeah.
So let's go Bucks 3.5.
Yeah, definitely throw Bucks in there.
And I'll pick a game. So each of you pick a game. I'm going to take Bengals minus 3.5.
All right, so the Bucks are on there. Then you're taking the Bengals. Huss, who are you going to throw in?
Let's go Steelers. And if you want to take it, it's 3. If you have to get it to 2.5, go to 2.5. It'll juice it down a little bit, but. And
then, I'm good with Denver or Detroit. Let's throw Detroit on there. I think they're gonna get back on track offensively. So
perfect. Haas, what's coming up on WST?
Well, a lot of talk about this football game tonight in the Hammer. Obviously, the passing of Ted Gavaya, which we'll be discussing. We'll hear from Chris Strevler and Mike O'Shea to get ready for the game tonight. And Jets young players are out in Montreal getting ready for this tourney this week. Going to be playing the Habs prospects in front of a sold-out Bell Center crowd tomorrow night. Dan Fink is there. He will join us and a little bit more on the upcoming week in the National Football League and then marbles before 3 o'clock. So pop on and join us at some point.
Kelvin Van Dassler, Dusty for Guest of the Year if the Lock Shop was respected. Hashtag Justice for Lock Shop.
You're damn straight. Look at this. Like,
there's a lot of momentum coming up for the protest next week. The Justice for the Walk Shop. It's going
to be weird when I'm in it.
Yes.
Haas, have a great trip to Kansas City. We'll connect with you next Thursday. Dusty, have a wonderful call today.
Thanks,
this was
Thanks,
the Walk
Matty.
Shop presented by Play Alberta. Oil Stream coming up next here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Your clear choice for Edmonton Sports. Don't go anywhere. Oh, you could fire it to me quickly. Oh, you've got this going, Trev. There we go. Yeah, just fire it. We're good.